On the right is a guy named Tim Scott. Okay, he was running for president recently. He ran against Donald Trump in the 2024 primary elections to try to win the Republican nomination. He didn't get far at all, honestly. But he's now kind of a legitimate public political figure now as a result of that. Well, they held a vote, Congress did, to determine if contraception should be protected, like the access to contraception should be protected. And guess how Tim Scott voted? Tim Scott, on screen, voted against access to contraception on the House floor. Listen to what they had to say to each other here. This is Brett Baer on the left on Fox News.
This vote, Right to Contraception Act, failed in the Senate today. It had to get 60 to get past the procedural hurdle. 39 nays. You
this is the Senate, I guess.
were one of the nays.
Yes.
So for folks who, why vote nay, and explain.
So if you look here, 51 is exactly how many votes the Democrats have in the Senate right now, down to the man. At 39, they might have gotten one Republican, but I don't even think they did. And then 39 Republicans. The other, whatever it is, 11, maybe the other 11 senators or however many didn't vote, probably because they knew that it wasn't going to work anyway.
And explain how that's not a bad issue for Republicans.
Yeah, this is just a shame that the Democrats are willing to try to politicize whether or not women have access to contraceptions.
Well, are you kidding me? Who's politicizing this? No, nobody wants to restrict access to contraception. He's like flipping this around. Democrats were in favor of spreading access to contraception. He's pretending that he was voting in favor of contraception access. And like Brett Baer is not calling him on this. What? Okay, so he's pretending he wants women to have access to contraception, even though he doesn't. Now let's listen to him justify voting against access to like birth control, voting against having like access to condoms or birth control pills or the depot shot or, IUDs or whatever. What excuse could he possibly have for this?
And have access to contraceptions. The bottom line is they absolutely do, and that will continue. The question is why Democrats continue to take the most extreme position on abortion.
No, the question is literally, why did you vote against access to birth control? That is actually the question. This is not about abortion, okay? This is about condoms. Why did you vote to disallow people, make it more difficult for people to access condoms? Why? He's somehow managed to weasel his way into a discussion on abortion. What?
To take the most extreme position on abortion in the country. All the Senate Democrats have voted, not talked about, but voted for abortion up until the day of birth.
Okay, just complete bullshit, all of it. I and pretty much every other Democrat politician out there want Roe v. Wade back. I like where Roe v. Wade was. I thought it was a fantastic, bright line that was drawn by the legal system, okay? Somewhere between day 1 of pregnancy and week 39 and 6 days, somewhere in there, it goes from being a clump of cells to a human being, right? And that should be considered, absolutely. Roe v. Wade said up to 20 weeks, it's possible to do the procedure if you want to. Beyond 15 weeks, nobody got it done unless it was like a medical issue. Between 20 and 30 weeks, the only time this is ever done is if there was a doctor saying this must be done, or the baby's going to die, or you're going to die, or both. And beyond that, it's the exact same thing. It's only in cases of medical necessity, extreme medical necessity. Now, here's my position, and here's Roe v. Wade's position. That doctrine, I guess, is created by the Supreme Court originally, I believe. And here's the position of pretty much every Democrat. Up to 20 weeks, women are allowed to choose to get an abortion if they want. That is before gender is even possible to determine. That's before it can live outside the mother's, before pain or before a brain is formed, before a heart is formed, or any of that. It's still effectively a clump of cells at that point. Beyond 20 weeks, a doctor has to approve. A doctor has to have a good reason to allow it. That's what I want. That's what Democrats want. That's what Roe v. Wade was. Now, I don't know what the hell he's talking about. Everybody wants it up to the day of birth. That's simply not true. People just refuse to engage in these ridiculous hypothetical situations. Quick interjection, this won't take long, I promise. I'd appreciate it if you watched to the end of the video, or at least a couple extra seconds, because YouTube bases its algorithm off of watch time. The more watch time a video has, the further the video will go. Also, take a look at my website, owenmorgan.com. I'm selling my book, Understanding Jehovah's Witnesses, 400 pages, and my second book, 100 Questions for Jehovah's Witnesses, which is about 80 pages. And you can find them both there on the website. Audio form, ebook form, whatever. It's about my experiences within the religion and the history of the religion generally. The 100 questions are intended to challenge a religious leader, so I'd appreciate it if you give it a read. Okay, back to the video.
For abortion up until the day of birth. The former Virginia governor, Democrat pediatrician, has suggested even infanticide. I'm not making this up.
Yes, he is. He is. I looked up what he's saying here, and he is actually making this up. I love how he says, I'm not making it up, when he explicitly is making it up. Here's the article right here. This is on AP News. AP News is super trustworthy. Reuters, super trustworthy. BBC, America, independent.co.uk, really trustworthy sources. Check out this article by the Associated Press, AP. Posts distort former Virginia governor's comments on third trimester abortions. Okay, like I said, Roe v. Wade only ever allowed third trimester abortions, which is 28 weeks and onward, if there was a doctor's approval because somebody in the equation was going to die, if this didn't happen. Claim: a video shows Virginia Governor Ralph Northam during a 2019 radio interview speaking in support of infanticide or after-birth abortions. AP's assessment: false. Northam was giving a hypothetical example of what could happen if a mother whose fetus had severe deformities or wasn't otherwise viable, like it was born with its head just was filled with water. There's no brain. There's no brain stem. There's no nothing. It's just filled with water. It's called hydroencephaly, I believe, and that happens more often than you'd think. In those cases, abortion beyond 28 weeks is totally justified. It's like when the baby comes out, it's not even a baby. It's just going to be a husk, just like an empty shell. That's what he's talking about, that kind of situation. So he's talking about that type of situation, and if the mother requested an abortion while in labor, and it was that situation, then it might be acceptable before the baby comes out. I mean, again, this is why people shouldn't do hypotheticals, because it's going to get all twisted around. Again, if the baby is perfectly healthy, perfectly viable, and safe and fine on its own, and there's no legitimate reason for abortion, like somebody is in danger or something, then it shouldn't happen after 20 weeks. After halfway through the second trimester, it shouldn't happen. That is the position of literally every single person in the U.S., pretty much. But, Republicans have to twist it around and turn it into some insane, ridiculous nonsense that is not representative of reality, and just straight up make things up to convince everybody that Democrats are like way off in la la land when they're not.
Virginia governor, Democrat pediatrician, has suggested even infanticide. I'm not making this up, Brett.
He absolutely was.
These are votes taken in our chamber. That tells me very clearly they're doing every single thing they can to hide from their own voting record. This is an issue that we should continue to push, because this is an issue where the American people say, wait, abortion up until the day of birth?
Yeah, nobody wants that. Okay, he's just propagandizing and lying here. And by the way, what does this have to do with contraception? He voted against access to contraception. He voted against access to birth control. That's what he was asked about. Why is Brett Baer allowing him to lie about abortion when it's completely disconnected from the subject? Because Brett Baier is a Fox News shill. Because he's willing to do whatever it takes to lie or to manipulate or to whatever else to get his guy to win, to get his side further. Disgusting.
That's wrong. Infanticide, allowing a child to be born and then let...
That isn't even what the guy said, the Virginia governor would. That's not even what he said. No one is for post-birth abortion. That's just called murder. No one has ever advocated for that.
A child to be born and then letting it die, that's un-American. And so when you hear what Chuck Schumer suggests,
most Democrats are
wrong.
in that space. Why does he do that vote today on contraception?
Well,
Thank you. Please bring it back to the point here. Why did you vote against birth control?
the polls are clear that they are losing this November election.
What does that have to do with anything? No, the polls aren't clear on that, but so what if they were? Who cares? Why did you vote against birth control?
Election, the day of reckoning, is November 5th of this year. They're doing anything they can to try to demonize the Republicans as if we're going to do something as ridiculous as he suggests.
You just voted against contraception. Are you kidding? That's ridiculous. Nobody is trying to vote for post-birth abortion. Nobody's brought a bill to the floor about that. Nobody wants that. It's fabricated. Why is he talking about it? He's talking about it to get people whipped into a blood frenzy. Tim Scott is a weasel for weaseling his way out of that question instead of just answering it. And Brett Baier is a weasel for allowing him to. Like, I'm not even saying that to, like, be, I'm not saying it as an insult. I'm saying these people are weaseling their way out of real problems and real questions instead of just directly telling us what they think and how they feel. Why don't they want access to birth control? Why are they trying to make it more difficult for women to have control of their reproductive cycle? We're not even talking abortion. We're talking condoms. Why are Republicans doing this? We need to really step out and take a 5,000-foot look down at this situation. They say they don't want abortion. Okay, well, you reduce abortions by increasing birth control, increasing sex education, and things like that. Do they do either of those things? No. He's trying to ban birth control. They're trying to push abstinence only on school kids. So what do they want, really? Like, actually? It's obviously not to decrease abortion rates. My best guess at what these people like Tim Scott are reaching for is limiting women's ability to control their own reproductive cycle. I don't know how else to interpret this. Quick interjection. This won't take long, I promise. I just want to say I'd appreciate it if you check my Patreon. OwenMorgan.com/Patreon to find it. YouTube's algorithm goes up and down, so I can never predict where it's going to be. Having patrons gives me some level of stability. Okay, back to the video. And then you have this right here. This is a guy, what was his name? Congressman Shelby Lawson. He asked some questions of an anti-abortion activist. Give this one a listen. This is from late May 2024.
That less access to contraception leads to higher rates of unintended pregnancies.
I'm not advised.
Are you really? Okay. Is she pretending to be this f***ing stupid? Or is she actually this f***ing stupid? I have no idea why she won't just answer the question. The question was, by decreasing access to birth control, does that cause unwanted pregnancy to go up or down? The answer is, very obviously, reduced access to birth control causes unwanted pregnancy to go up. It causes abortions to go up. And this isn't just speculation. There are a billion studies to back this up, to show us what happens. So his question, the answer is yes. It does cause more abortion. Okay, now let's listen to this anti-abortion activist.
I'm not advised on that.
Again, I'm not asking you to cite any data or statistics. I'm not asking that. I'm just asking your opinion if If a population does not have access to contraception, could that lead to higher rates of unintended pregnancies?
Like, the answer is very obviously yes. So, like, she can't even bring herself to say yes here.
I'm so sorry, Representative. I'm not advised on that.
I don't know what she means, I'm not advised. What does that even mean?
And so, are you aware that family planning services, including access to contraception, while you're not advised on it, I'm going to presume that you would recognize that those are valuable services to help families, individuals, women decide when they want to become pregnant. Would you?
Yeah, it's not just, like, Planned Parenthood doesn't just do abortions. It's like 4% of what they do or something like that. They also provide contraception, birth control to people, and they do STD testing. They give, vaccines to HPV and things like that. They do all kinds of stuff that helps people. And the people who are talking to this representative right now are desperately trying to shut down Planned Parenthood. This is just sad.
When they want to become pregnant, are you aware that there are a lot of people in the state of Texas, but particularly in the Hispanic and African American communities, where
I think he's just Latino, whether it's male, female, or otherwise, just Latino. Latinx is a totally different story, but the Latino community does not want to be called Latinx, as far as I know. But Latino and Hispanic are different. They cover different regions, but that's neither here nor there. Okay, so the Latino community, what?
Hispanic and African American communities that are disproportionately underserved in that regard. Would you agree with that?
I'm not advised on that matter, Representative.
Are you serious? She comes to Congress to speak on abortion and is completely clueless on the subject? Are you telling me that somebody didn't sit down with her and prep her for what she should say and the information that she should know? This is a joke. Of course she knows the answers to these questions. You don't even need to see the scientific data to know that less access to birth control means higher rates of unintended pregnancies and higher rates of abortion. These people are jokes.
So you're not sure or aware, just to recap this, if access to contraception in any way relates to rate of unintended pregnancies?
What I am confident of is that
yes or no
every
would be fine.
heartbeat matters
Oh, she's not going to give us a yes or no.
and is worth our protection.
Every heartbeat matters. Okay. What does that have to do with contraception? What does that have to do with condoms? Why did they hold a vote to prevent women from accessing birth control pills when it's non-abortive, does not cause abortions? And when asked why did they answer, every heartbeat matters? Before 20 weeks, there is no heartbeat to speak of. Even after 20 weeks. I mean, before, 25 weeks or something like that. There's no heartbeat to speak of. There's an electrical impulse that is going through certain nerves or whatever, certain cellular structures. That's it. Again, there's a line somewhere between day 1 and week 39 and day 6 where it does become a human who is worthy of being protected, and it's not the moment it comes out. It's before that. I can agree. I can agree with her. We can all agree that it's slightly before it comes out, right? She's saying she doesn't even want contraception because before you stand up to get a towel, there's a third person in the room with you, in her mind. Before you stand up to use the bathroom, there's a third person in the room. It's nonsense. She doesn't believe this. You can't convince me she believes it. This isn't what it's about with these people. Again, these people are doing what they're doing. Tim Scott, for example, guy who voted against contraception access, and these girls right here on screen, they're doing what they're doing for a completely different reason. I don't believe they give a shit about abortion, about every life or whatever, every heartbeat. You can't convince me they care about any of that. Are they fighting against the death penalty if every life matters? No, they're fighting harder for it. Are they fighting to help young kids, say 2, 3, 4-year-old kids who are destitute, living in complete poverty, and don't have enough food? Those kids whose abortions they prevented, when they get to school, are they fighting to give those kids free lunch? No. They don't give a shit about the lives. They don't give a shit about the kids. Never did. It was always about how can we weaponize this to our advantage. In my opinion, there is an overarching moral system that they are adhering to that, when all put together, it does make sense. They want to ban birth control. They want to ban abortion. They want to ban sex ed, make it abstinence only. They want to ban gay marriage, and they want to all that stuff, right? There is an overarching moral system for this. But in my opinion, I think that the more cynical actors, like Jerry Falwell Sr., for example, one of the guys that really pushed this whole pro-life thing, I think his goal behind that was to advocate for a quote-unquote minority group, unborn babies, who could not argue with him about what he was saying. You know, he was speaking for them. Jerry Falwell Sr. comes out and speaks for the black community and says the black community doesn't want high food stamps. Or the black community wants to get rid of Social Security or whatever. No, you can't do that because the black community can speak for themselves. It's not even a monolith. But Jerry Falwell can speak for unborn babies, right? Because they can't speak back. Because they can't argue with him about wants or needs or interests or anything. And as soon as they're born, he doesn't care anymore. It's over. They can starve to death for all he cares. Pick yourself up by your bootstraps. I don't give a shit if you're 2 years old. Jerry Falwell Sr. was looking for a subject that he could weaponize. He's looking for a minority group that he could advocate for who couldn't speak back and get people really whipped into a blood frenzy over it so that they'd be willing to do literally anything to protect this quote-unquote minority group that he created here. Most of these people don't want abortion because they were propagandized by cynical actors like Jerry Falwell Sr. and other televangelists. That's my opinion. Tell me what you think about it in the comments. Just disgusting, man.